Hi, it's Jill again. So we said we were going to do some EFT, emotional freedom technique, or tapping. So first and foremost, you need to get yourself comfortable. So you need to be uninterrupted. That door needs to be locked. The phone needs to be on silent. If you happen to have a landline, unplug it, take it off the hook. Just for a moment or two while you do some EFT. Okay, nice and comfy, and ideally with a glass of water as well. Water is really good for us. It keeps us hydrated. Most of us are dehydrated, and it also helps with this because we're working on our electrical current. So water is really good for you in this process. So get yourself all nicely set up, interruption free, children away, TV off, phone on silent, glass of water. Get yourself nice and comfy, sit down and rate what the problem is. So we're going to use a scale of 0 to 10 to rate ourselves. Obviously this depends what the problem is, but 0 would be no problem at all and 10 is the worst ever. So if we use a really simple example like a headache. So 0, absolutely fine. I have no headache whatsoever. 10 is the worst migraine you can imagine. You can barely move. Obviously, all the numbers in between. So rate your problem. Maybe my headache is a 7 at the moment. Oof, it's really painful. I'm struggling with it. And we start with a set-up statement. So your set-up statement can be a version of this. It doesn't need to be word for word. But it's along the lines of, even though I have this headache, I deeply and completely accept myself. So again, with a different problem, even though I have whatever it is, this leg pain, this anxiety, this phobia, I deeply and completely accept myself. Okay, so have this in mind and really, really focus in on the problem at hand. So in this case, our example is a headache. And we're going to use what's called the karate chop point. So you can use 2 or 3 fingers, whatever feels more comfortable. And you're going to tap gently, but firmly. You're not hurting yourself, you're not hitting yourself hard, but you can feel it. Onto this karate chop point. We're going to, 3 times, we're going to say that setup statement. So even though I have this headache, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this headache, I deeply and completely accept myself. And the 3rd time, even though I have this headache, I deeply and completely accept myself. We're then going to move around some other acupressure points on your body, your upper body, and do a little reminder phrase at each of these points. And again, you can kind of go with the flow with this, whatever feels right, whatever comes to your mind. So perhaps despite this headache, so you can see I'm tapping on the inner brow here. Despite this headache, you move to the outer brow. And I'm really just thinking about this headache right now, pushing away all other thoughts. Under my eye, despite this headache. Under the nose, despite this headache. On your chin, despite this headache. On your collarbone, and it doesn't matter which one, despite this headache. This next one is just at the side here, sort of just under the armpit, despite this headache. And then finally, right in the centre of the head, despite this headache, I completely and deeply accept myself, or any version of that you prefer. Okay, then take a couple of deep breaths. And rate yourself again. Where are you between 1 or 0 and 10? And we were a 7 before, and maybe we're still a 7. Or maybe it's just shifted down a little bit. perhaps to a 5 or a 6. That would be nice. So we're trying to get to a comfortable number, an acceptable number. That doesn't necessarily need to be 0. Maybe I would be comfortable with a headache ranging from 2 to 3, perhaps. So the same with all those other things, like if you are working on anxiety, it might be that, you know, an acceptable level of anxiety for you is a 2 or a 3 or a 4, and you're just working to wherever you're comfortable. Yeah. If you are not yet at a 0 or that comfortable level, whatever that might be, we simply repeat. You might even have a little sip of water again. Make sure you're comfy, take a deep breath, and start with your opening sentence again. Even though I still have this headache, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I still have this headache, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I still have this headache, I deeply and completely accept myself. This headache, this headache, this headache, this headache, this headache, this headache, this headache. Despite this headache, I deeply and completely accept myself. There's a couple of deep breaths. And rate yourself and see where you're at. As you probably saw as we went through this video, the exact wording really isn't important as long as you are doing a setup statement and then reminding yourself, keeping your brain focused. So rather than saying this headache, I might have just said headache. I might have said despite this headache. It doesn't matter. So don't get too hung up on the exact words. Equally, you might not want to say I deeply and completely accept myself. You might want to say I love myself. You might want to say, even though I have this anxiety, I am a great person. Or I am a good kid if you're a child doing this. Whatever variation works for you and feels comfortable. You don't want to be saying something that feels wrong, that feels icky. Okay. So I really, really hope that going through this process of EFT really helps you. Practice, practice, practice. It might seem complicated, but I promise you it's not. Each round should take less than a minute to do once you've remembered where you're supposed to be tapping. And don't worry if you miss one and then you go back to it, that's okay too. But please do let me know how you get on. Okay, take care. Bye.